Does the start of your squat look like this? As you can see, she's going into some heavy lumbar extension at the very start of the eccentric portion of the squat, which can definitely cause some issues. In fact, oftentimes you'll notice that individuals that start their squat that way end up having some TFL pain, some lumbar spine pain, and things of that nature, because we're, again, changing length tension relationships as we start our squat, and we're also losing that rib cage over pelvis position at the very start, which again causes some issues. The two biggest reasons why this happens, one is because people are so much trying to keep their chest up, okay? They don't let their upper body fall forward, and they don't have very good hinge mechanics. And when we overuse the chest up cue, which again isn't inherently bad, but can have some bad effects for certain people, but we overuse this cue, oftentimes people will start their squat by going hips back, chest up, and again, going into extension at the very start. So that's one of the biggest reasons. So for these individuals, we have to teach them it's okay to have your chest fall forward. One of my favorite cues to address this, in fact, is just a very simple one, acting like someone's pulling your shirt forward. When you do that, this usually has an immediate fix to this issue. They're so dedicated to going chest up, they start with extension, but when they let them know it's okay to go chest forward, look at that there, extension goes away. And the second biggest reason is just poor breathing mechanics. A lot of times individuals will start their squat with this big vertical breath, and already they're going into some degree of extension. And again, this is just not the best way to breathe and brace. We want that horizontal breathing pattern, that proper building of IEP.
So piggybacking off of what Brandon just mentioned, I'm going to show you some examples of that TL or thoracolumbar hinging that can take place if, one, you are trying to just think about chest up, chest up, chest up, especially with a low bar squat. It's going to be really hard to lead with a chest up cue if, one, your breathing and bracing mechanics aren't on point, or if your hip hinge mechanics just aren't as optimal. So with a high bar squat, it's actually a little easier, or the chest up cue is a little bit easier to implement because the bar is sitting on a place on my back where I am able to keep the bar centered over my midfoot with a chest up posture. However, I am still going to make sure that I'm leading with optimal bracing mechanics and a hip hinge to go into the motion. So even if someone was to yell, chest up, I'm still able to keep my chest up without exaggerating lumbar extension. Now it's especially important with a low bar. Now that the bar is a little bit further behind me, if I try to keep my chest up at this position, one, it's going to feel like the bar is going to roll off of my back. And as a compensation, I am going to have to go into a little bit more of lumbar extension to try to keep my chest up in a low bar position. Building off of what Brandon said, develop optimal hip hinge mechanics, so then that way you're not leading with the hinging occurring at your thoracolumbar junction.
And I think that's about it.
Just when you thought it couldn't get any better. First, we went from 40 to 55 speakers, but now you can get 2 CEU credits through the NSCA for Kabuki Education Week. Only 2 weeks left to sign up for live access to 55 hours worth of content from the best lineup you're gonna find.